Happy Sunday. You are watching the EMEA version of the SMITE 2 Founder Series Day 2, and we are in the Swiss bracket. We had some great matches yesterday, Trelly, but another full slate of SMITE 2 games here to play today.
And, you know, looking at the matchups already, you can tell it's going to be a banger day. This is kind of what we're here for, right? Just try and figure out which teams are going to be jumping up to the 1-0 slot of the Swiss bracket and which teams are going to be falling down to the 0-1 slot. Both decent records. Again, you're trying to get to 3 is the idea. So, you know,
Right.
1 loss, 1 win, not the greatest, but you just got to pay attention to those matchups because whoever has the same record as you is who you're looking to face next round.
All right, trying to get to 3 wins, trying to avoid 3 losses. That's the name of the game here in the Swiss bracket. Let's take a peek at the European version, the EMEA side of our bracket here. So we had some wins yesterday. That's Titans Reloaded, Team Risk, Yodi Gang, and Mockingbird all were able to find a win. And so they will improve up to the 1-0 side of the bracket. The other 4 matches, guess what? We're going to find out later on today. The teams that lose will drop down to the 0-1 pool. And then those teams will play against one another. And so as your record through the bracket changes, you will match up with other teams that have that same record next weekend. As Trelly mentioned, once you get to 3, you move on to the next stage. If you lose 3, then you drop out and you have to go through another qualifier to get back into things here. So you win, you basically get to skip a step, which is the big bonus here if you're able to win 3 of your games in the Swiss bracket. Got 2 more EMEA matches for you on the schedule today. A couple are going to be offline, and we'll keep you updated on how those end up shaking out. So Mockingbird versus Team Random Name, and then MMB versus Tythonic, both played offline. I do believe, if I remember correctly, that Mockingbird already grabbed their win. I think it was Random Team Name ended up forfeiting their match. So Mockingbird got the 2-0, and they'll improve to the 1-0 side of the bracket. But Trelly, we got some good ones for you here this morning, starting off with Smoke Break versus, I'm just going to call them Disciples of Chaos because I'm going to get tongue-tied otherwise. Smoke Break headlined by Johnny out of the jungle, and then Silence and E-Chrome, certainly a fantastic dual lane. That second matchup today also is going to be a really good one. Some fan favorites on those 2 teams. Over in North America, which will be taking over at 3 p.m. Eastern time today. So what is that, 4 or so hours from now? It'll be our 3rd best of 3 of the day. Scrumptious versus Mr. Play-by-Play over in North America. And then another fan favorite, the Fun Havers going up against Borscht to end the day. And then a couple offline matchups that we'll keep you updated on. Team name, but with 5 M's. One of the fan favorites. And folks will be looking for them to improve to 1-0. But Trelly, our first match of the day here, Smoke Break versus Discipulos del Chaos. This is Benko, Johnny, Sap7, Silenced, and E-Chrome. Hard to overlook that team. Talented players across the board. But as I mentioned in that previous graphic, headlined by Johnny, one of the best in the world in the jungle. And we're sort of in a jungle carry meta right now based on the matches that I've seen this weekend.
I would say so, yeah. And also, first of all, respect for pronouncing that name. I'm going to go with Disciples of Chaos as well, but I think you nailed it, first of all. Second of all, definitely a scary team to try and match up against. Smoke Break has been pretty consistently in that top 3, top 2, to be honest with you, as far as the qualifiers have gone. But they've shown that they can still bleed. It's not as if they're impossible to take down. And if you want to try and slow down Smoke Break, I think you hit the nail on the head. Trying to go through Johnny in the jungle could definitely be a way to do so. I think he facilitates a lot for this team. He goes for early ganks. He knows who to try and camp. He knows who to try to invade, those sort of things. So if we do get a little bit of action from Drake in the jungle against Johnny, maybe that can slow down Smoke Break's possession.
Yeah, Wengu, Drake, Calipo, Vives, and Toddy. Of course, the team for Disciples of Chaos. We'll see what they're able to do in picks and bans. Trelly, it's an interesting dynamic here in the early days of SMITE 2. Of course, you get 1 ban. You get 5 picks as is standard. It would be weird if you got anything else. But you get the 1 ban, which in SMITE 1, you got, 3 right off the bat, and then a couple more later on. So there's a bit of a chess match with how the early picks unfolded. You change your bans a bit later on. If you're DDK here, I wonder if you're immediately targeting Johnny, taking away one of the Susano, the Loki, and then also hoping that you're able to get one of the other in those early picks. The strategy around picks and bans feels a bit different now with just that one ban slot.
Yeah, certainly does. But Odin and Fenrir have been at the top of everyone's ban mind. Bacchus not too far behind, especially for game 1. Game 2, I think that's where we see a little bit of a diversity, but in this case, I think Odin and Fenrir make a lot of sense. DDK does not want to give up that Fenrir, and Jing Wei going to be the first pick here for Smoke Break. I got to assume you go towards something like Bacchus here for DDK, and they certainly do. As far as the second pick, Hecate still comes to mind. I wouldn't hate something like a Ymir. Chalk is still so strong. There's a lot of options to the number 2, but I love grabbing that Bacchus early.
Yep, Bacchus, Susano, two of the most sought after picks in their respective roles. And as I mentioned earlier, I like the Susano for 2 reasons. One, I think it's a great pick. One of the best junglers in SMITE 2 at the moment, but also you're taking that away from Johnny, which who knows if he actually wanted to play it, but my eyes are just always going to be on the jungle here for Smoke Break, because Johnny carried games at the SEC level, carried games at the SPL level, even when the team he was playing on wasn't doing much winning. It always felt like Johnny found a way. So getting that out of his hands is always going to be a good thing, but still some options here, and you can now leave that jungle pick a bit later on. DDK can't ban anything else. So you're going to go Jingwei, Ymir, Amaterasu, Trelly. It seems like Jingwei, Ymir pretty standard, especially when I look at Silenced and E-Chrome. I kind of laughed earlier because E-Chrome and Jingwei, I mean, even in SMITE 1, it just felt like, given his choice, it's going to be Jingwei more often than not.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We do see the Ymir and the Ama, which I think Ymir has been pretty consistently going over towards support, but Amaterasu can certainly flex there. Ymir can play 3 roles decently well. Same with the Bacchus, by the way. The Bacchus has been in solo lane pretty consistently, but still finds his home in support. We'll have to see exactly where the rest of this DDK roster goes towards. Love the Hecate, though. One of the top mid laners for a reason. That ultimate is just so impactful if you have a lot of CC. And when you've got Bacchus, when you have Susano, already that's enough CC for me to try and lock in. But do you grab something like the Neith? You sure do. You want that global presence. You want some sort of auto attack damage. I've seen Strength Neith. I've seen Intelligence Neith. Both of them do well. We'll have to see exactly how we want to be building this one if you're Toddy. But considering that you have the Susano dive with the backup of Neith, I think you still need a little bit more CC if you're going into that supporter solo role. So we'll have to see how that last goes. But I did not expect that Anubis coming through.
Wow, I don't know if I've casted Anubis in SMITE 2 yet. I don't know if I have. This might be my first game of Anubis in SMITE 2. Loki does end up being the pick here for Johnny. Loki, Susano, that's sort of the dynamic we've seen a lot of in the jungle, and smartly, I think, Smoke Break leaving that pick to later on. No rush. What does Anubis bring to this composition, though, Trelly? You might not have expected it, but is there some value in this pick? It'll be Sap 7 over in the mid lane, piloting the Anubis here in game 1.
Yeah, I saw Dardes play it last weekend, but besides that, no one's really going to Anubis. Cuckoo's higher on the priority list. I've even seen Zeus a bit higher on the priority list. So Anubis still fantastic at doing, what you would expect. Great early clear, burns through tanks and carries alike, dies very quickly, right? That's kind of the idea here. The one main difference is there's not a traditional like Bancroft's talent-esque item. So you're not going to get lifesteal for a while. If you do build like Bloodbound Book and then you try to go into something like Typhon's Fang, your damage falls off hard. So Anubis has been just building high intelligence and then getting lifesteal later on. So not as much as that, like, oh, Anubis is 1 HP. He went to a camp and now he's back to full. That doesn't happen as much, but still great objective damage, still great tank shred, that sort of thing. The Morrigan is the last pick here for DDK. Unfortunately, doesn't really help me. I assume it's the Morrigan solo and you throw Bacchus into support now, but you can expect anything when it comes to games like this. So I'm not going to lock in anything for my money, but interesting team copy for DDK. I mean, the Morgan can be anything, right? It could be a Loki, it could be 2 Susanos, it could be Amaterasu. There's a lot of utility that this pick can bring, especially in like a 5th pick slot.
Yeah, I wish I had more data on this DDK roster. I know plenty about Toddy in the Hunter role, but that's not one of our concerns right now. It's where everything else seems to go. Seems like the duo lane's locked in. So it's intriguing, but overall, without trying to slot certain characters into certain lanes here, Trelly, as a composition, as a team of 5, my initial thought would be that DDK is pretty squishy here, but are your concerns maybe somewhere else, or do you have any concerns?
Well, I'm looking at, how good your dive is, because when you have something like an Anubis on the enemy team, you have to be able to just get in quick, blow him up before he gets his damage off, and I think double Susano could certainly do that. Hakate and Neath, relatively safe. They have a lot of mobility. They have a lot of movement. They can get out of trouble if they need to. They don't really need Bacchus to peel for them necessarily. But when you look at Smoke Break, Ama, Ymir, Loki, like they have a lot of CC and a lot of dive, which is hard to deal with, especially when you only have, as you said, like a squishier team comp, only one traditional tank. I'm just trying to think how these like team fights are going to break out, because I do love the idea of just like Susano and Morgan just chasing someone down with an ult, get the pick, get out. But then you got to look at your 5v5 afterwards, or your 5v4 afterwards. And I think Smoke Break, if they get late game, if you get Jingwei and Anubis to level 20, they'll be feeling real confident once they get to that point.
Echrome, one of the most talented ADCs as far as sitting in lane, farming up, assisting his team later in the game, especially on this Jingwei pick, as I've mentioned. Echrome and Silenced have probably played this iteration of the dual lane, Ymir and Jingwei and SMITE 1, more times than we can count with one another. And that's a different conversation, but it's a lot of what we've talked about in SMITE 2, where once you get some of these teams that are maybe newly formed, but then you get some teams that in some pieces of the roster have played together in the past. Dual lane is maybe one of the more prevalent examples of that, and Silence and Echrome certainly raised my expectations. Trelly, it's one thing I asked Gore in our set yesterday, because we started to see more Bacchus and Ymir matchups in the dual lane. Not something, we would see sort of one or the other, but I don't know how many times I ever casted Bacchus versus Ymir and SMITE 1. Would you rather get breathed on by frozen cold air and turned into an ice cube, or belched on by hot alcohol breath and stunned, petrified as a result?
I think it depends on the time of day.
Yeah.
Like first thing in the morning, I do not want to take a belch to the face, but a nice chill might wake you up. It might get the sinuses clear, things like that. I think it changes when it's late at night. You know what I'm saying? That might change. Like, I don't want to get cold before bed. I'm thinking it depends on the time of day. But in lane, Bacchus is just a menace right now. Bacchus is just a menace right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both supports going for invades. That's just kind of the meta at the moment. You get yourself a Sunder, you walk up to purple buff, you just be annoying as all hell. So I'm keeping my eyes on both of them just to see where they end up. Could even see them invading speed buff. That's kind of the vibe here. As a jungler, you don't want to see either one of these guys roll up to you at level 1, because they're going to have movement, they're going to have damage, and they're going to take your buff.
I'm curious. So you said you don't want to be cold at night. I want my room to be freezing cold, and then I want to bundle like a million blankets on me so I can be underneath that.
Right, but when you wake up in the morning and you're all wrapped up, and you're like, I don't want to leave bed because I don't want to get cold, so you stay in there. Why? Why? I'm not taking a freeze at that moment. That's
a great point. That's the worst time of day to be turned into an ice cube. It's a great nuanced answer. I can't remember if Gore played ball with me or not. I think it was in game, and they were, on a kill a minute pace or something like that. We just didn't really have time. That was bad share oneing on my part. But that's a dual lane matchup I think we've just got to get used to, because those two picks near the top of the tier list in support right now. We can stop theorizing and start getting some answers, though, because game 1 between Smoke Break and DDK, the Disciples of Chaos, starting up right now. So it will be Susano out of the jungle, and Trelly, you figured it might be Morgan over in solo lane.
It's Morgan support.
And it is... Yeah, is that true? Goodness, yeah, you're right. So it is the Morgan support. Wengu will play solo on the Bacchus. That is not what I expected. It is not a Bacchus versus Ymir lane matchup.
I mean,
what value is there in the Morgan support?
That's the thing. Like, Bacchus has been traditionally in solo just because he does so well with Bluestone. His 1v1's kind of ridiculous. But you definitely, if you have the Morgan, you can put her wherever you want. And in this case, I guess better clear over in support. The peel's not fantastic, but one thing you do lose out on is that free chance to invade. I just don't think the Morgan is going to be very safe walking up to a purple buff or a speed buff. at level 1, whereas Silence can definitely do it. I'm gonna be watching this Shamir because he has potions for days. That's something that it seems like Disciples of Chaos hasn't picked up on, is if you take a look at Benko and Silence inventory, you don't get a tier 1 item,
Yep.
and you just get a lot of potions because you want that extra health bar if you're going to be doing something like this, just running at a buff at level 1. You could get poked out, or you could just steal away the speed, and Silence is going to get this one for free. Might not even have the Sunder, but we'll probably do it, you know, just to speed up.
Just to grab it. Now, I don't expect you to have mountains of data on how Morgan support should build, but does going Selflessness into, what's it called, the Medallion, that HP tier 1 item, does that make, I mean, are you building tanky if you're playing Morgan support? I guess you have to, but my brain is always just damage focused, but that's not always the correct brain to follow.
Yeah, I mean, in Smite 2 with active items, I do truly believe anyone can play support. It does not mean it's going to be great. It doesn't mean that it's gonna peel for your team or anything like that. So I'm gonna watch the build. We already almost had a kill.
Yeah, it's a good thing you had that 75 extra max health.
Yeah, it's definitely helping out at the moment. I think tanky is the way to build. You can always transform into someone if you want some damage, but Echrome in some trouble here. Did get sundered. The tick damage will come through, but Echrome should be able to heal that one up. No problem with the potions. I imagine it's like cooldown and tank stats. That's probably the idea here. You got to get beats though, like the active purification. Echrome in some trouble.
Oh, needed the shielding, got it, and is able to walk away from the fight. Man, that dual lane already under a little bit of pressure, and it's actually a step forward here from Sap7. Doing his best to put Calipo on the back foot over there in the mid lane. Seems like just a matter of time before Silence finds that big freeze, but it's gonna have to hold on to it because Drake is here again. The jungler has just not left the duo lane. Truly, there's a lot of sudden engage over here in duo between the stealth on the Morrigan and then Drake just hanging out over the wall. You can put that slipstream out and within a moment's notice be there. And it's interesting because we've talked a lot about warding and how much or how not much, how not often we do it here in Smite 2. This is maybe one of the more annoying lanes to deal with as far as sudden engage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like an Eye of Providence picked up. There's been a lot of that item through support in particular, where you can just get free wards that regen every 60 seconds or so. And
it's free money.
It does take one of your active items away, but like, you know what? If you get vision, like it helps out. So it could be something we look at. And something to notice, and something that I've been very vocal against, is the triple Sunder that Smokebreak has picked up. Johnny on the Loki. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of 3 Sunders. I like 2 Sunders. I think having it on your jungle doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand just the more the merrier at times, but hey, maybe Johnny's just very confident in his own positioning and doesn't think it's going to matter. And if that's the case, then yeah, we'll see. If Johnny ever dies where he could have blinked or Aegis or beads out, then I'm going to say it's a Sunder diff. But if he steals a Fire Giant with it, then hey, what can I say?
That's good. You're buying yourself insurance later on. You know, it's what I failed at yesterday. I made a statement about, man, I don't know if Amaterasu in the jungle is going to be able to do the same thing that Susano did in the previous game, and then just completely smacked the opposing team. And it was a little bit slower, but you know, giving yourself an out is always the most important here. One thing I did notice, I mean, look, Drake has been farming up a bit here recently, but spent a lot of time just hanging out over in Soul Lane, peering over that wall. He's fallen 2 levels behind Johnny. Johnny is level 5, has ultimate. Drake is still level 3 on this Susano. Probably 3.5. I'm expecting that level 4 to be the next camp or so, but Johnny has spent 0 time ganking. Now it's 3 levels behind. At 3 to 6. This has been...
Who does he want to walk up? He's hiding in the grass. There is no one on this map that could walk up to that speed buff and he'd win the 1v1. I guess he just wanted to take it.
Gotta do it quickly. So he gets to level 4, but Troy, the net outcome here is still a 2-level difference. And Johnny, immediately on the map, has ultimate. Drake does not. So if you can force a fight here, could be an opportunity for first blood. Sap7 over out of mid. Has the shell, not the blink on the Anubis, so won't see that gap close. But this is now maybe Johnny's opportunity to get something going here on this map. Has the assassinate, a nice double wall from Silence to stun from the Morgan. Answers back though, and gonna be a whole lot of damage out of the detonate. And who else but it's Johnny on the rotation into duo and grabs the first blood.
It's a great look as well. I mean, you could tell the Morgan did not have the ultimate. Ooh, beautiful death gaze there to avoid the ult. Snap 7 wanted that fight, but also good heads up play by Kalipo just to know, hey, I'm in a bad spot. I need to open the gates and teleport out immediately. Definitely a smart call. Didn't use the Aegis. Just able to get out of trouble. But I've been liking how Johnny's been playing. You said it perfectly. When Drake is over in left lane, just sitting, waiting for a gank. Hold that thought. A gank
it doesn't matter.
is successful.
Wow.
Nice ultimate there from Neath as well. And it was necessary. I think that Drake didn't quite have the damage to finish that one on his own. A good call.
Yep. Whoa, Johnny under the tier 1 tower, and mid goes back in. Gets a solo on Kalipo, who just a moment ago answered back in early first blood. And Trelly, it's early goings here on this trend. But it's something we have seen so many times before, where Johnny gets a couple kills in the early portions of the game, and the snowball just does not stop. It's far too early to say that's exactly what's happening. He's gone Transcendence. He's going to have to stack that up a little bit. But maybe the last person in the world you want to see get the 2 early kills on the opposing team is probably Johnny. At 2-0 on this Loki. Wait until that ultimate comes back up, get something going. It's been on cooldown, and both times it's resulted in a kill. But Drake, who had fallen behind early, has found a couple opportunities for a gank. The dazzling offensive stun dodged out by both the solo laner and the jungler. Johnny was there as an insurance policy as well, and everything fizzles out in solo.
I was wondering what Benko was going to build into, because, you know, Deathwalker always wanted to theorize about builds and try and find the best thing possible. I've noticed him go towards this cudgel start. So like a jungle starter over in solo, not a bad look, definitely something that can work. But I've been seeing just full intelligence Amas. I've seen Death Toll into Berserker Shield and Shoguns and auto attack Ama. There's a lot of different ways that you can play Amaterasu. Silence though, looks like he's gonna get ran down here. Not a great wall. Oh no! Gets caught out. The stun from Neath came in at the perfect time, so the rocket jump doesn't come through. Not a great invade, and Disciples of Chaos answer back again.
Yep, like how we've seen Jimmy Diablo play this Neath so far. Snap 7 is going to walk face first. Oh, into a Morgan stun. But actually reads it quite well. Another Death Gaze out. Chunks down. V-Base to half HP. And Johnny reads it well. That is simple and easy, and maybe just some mispositioning from the Morgan. Thought maybe you're going to be catching Sap 7 out, but it's actually Sap 7 on the return damage. And Trelia all this time, E-Chrome on the Jingwei. One of his favorite picks, builds up a 2-level lead over in solo lane. So it's these little fractures, these little cracks that you're starting to see that could spread some concern. Dazzling offensive again, no stuns, but it's a belly flop in and a belch, but it's countered out on the rotation in from Silenced and Johnny, and the Loki could run down another one here. Assassinated, stun, wall, it's all perfect. And one apiece. I'm Ryan. It's a double for Silenced over in the solo lane.
Beautifully played. I mean, that's how you bounce back as well. Like, Silence takes the death and does not stop getting aggressive, and you love to see that, because there are times when a support plays over aggressive, they get caught out, they say, all right, we're done with that, but not the case here. Silence keeps running it down. Make some big plays happen. You've got the Queen Naga buff. Why not push down the tier 1 tower? Put some extra gold in your pocket if you smoke break. By the way, teleported over. Silence is ready for another gank. The freeze off the mark, but the wall should confirm it. And Diablo, one more auto will do it.
Boop. Boop.
2 more autos will do it. I lied to you. I'm sorry.
Silenced on the killing spree. I'm sure would have loved to have given the last 3 kills over to the jungle and his ADC, but also, when your team is starting to roll like this, Trelly, it's a 4-kill lead. It's 5,000 gold, 5,500. I mean, I haven't looked up at the gold charts yet. There's been so much action on the map. But Smoke Break have just been out farming, and it's obvious when you look at it. We talked about Johnny having, what, a 2-3 level lead in the first, like, 5 minutes of the game. Had no kills at that point, but was still nearly 3 levels ahead of Drake. And E-Chrome has just been out farming Jimmy Diablo over in the solo lane, so a lot of the gold in those 2 roles, and this is the worst type of Johnny to play against when the momentum is there and the Loki starting to build up some steam, transcendence into hi-rez. It's this perfect power spike for Johnny at the 10-minute mark, and I think it's going to get a lot worse here for DDK unless they find some answers.
No answers for the Gold Fury. That seems to be going down for absolute free, even if Diablo could get over here. Not much steal potential when you got 3 Sunders on your team. They're going to pick up the first goal of the game for Smokebreak. And Dave, off the back of that aggression, have you ever seen almost a 10k gold lead at 10 minutes? That is tough to try and fight into. I will say. I mean, oh no, this is just rude. Sure, they're aware. Okay,
hey, kill for Jimmy Diablo. We like that.
Yeah, we'll take that. That's a good pick.
That was
you get the farm over and right.
Was that what Neath ultimate from all the way over in solo? Looks like Drake and Wengu dive on top of Benko, the World Weaver there. Not much you can do about that if you're E-Chrome or anyone else. Essentially a 3-man gank. So little moments like that can make a difference, but the concern isn't largely in the solo lane, Trelly. It's pretty much everywhere else on the map. So it's when Sap can get back into lane. It's when Johnny gets back into a gank position. It's when, all right, I'm just going to solo push down a tier 1 tower, despite my opponent being there. What E-Chrome is thinking. Does it get better, though, for Disciples of Chaos, for DDK? Is this roster getting better later in the game, or is their PowerPoint already behind them?
I mean, I think that their late game does look a little bit better, but it's not as if Smokebreak's late game doesn't get much better as well. I already highlighted during P's and V's, like Loki, Jingwei, Anubis, they want itemization. They want to get to level 20. They want to get online. So stalling out, scary stuff. Terrible time to flop if you are Wengu. There was an Anubis in your jungle, and you will be getting death gaze down. Maybe Benko gets the last hit, but that's a tough break.
Oh, there it is. Over the wall. Some retribution for the solo lane kill that happened just a few moments ago. Johnny on a warpath will actually take the escape route with his ultimate. Won't go back in, which is surprising given that it's Johnny. Drake trying to get a kill here, but Silence bounces himself away. Johnny's low as well. The World Weaver, but it's going to meet Johnny underneath that tier 1 tower in mid. So it doesn't end up being much. Looks like that's a transformation from the Morrigan. And unlucky, Drake, after hanging around in mid, jumped on once again. Jimmy Diablo now in teeny bit of trouble. Charlie, I feel like I've seen this story before with the E-Chrome silenced Johnny squads. I think we're starting to snowball here towards a quick defeat in game 1 if we're Disciples of Chaos.
Yeah, there's not a lot of ways to try and fight back at the moment if you're split up. I think Disciples of Chaos could group up as 5 and try and just like gank squad a lane, build back pressure that way. But man, it does seem like Smokebreak has covered just about all of their bases. If it's not silenced, it's going to be hard to try and pick someone out because there's so much mobility, so much movement. And Sap 7, despite the fact of being an Anubis, is just so high leveled, so much damage online. It's not going to be easy, and it looks like unless Viegas comes shot. Yeah, we're good. Oh, he can pull back.
Wow. But is Sap 7 just going to be able to turn the damage? No, needed his cooldowns back. That would have been a one-shot if Kalipo didn't have the Aegis, but Kalipo did have the Aegis, so it wasn't a one-shot. But still a moment of power there for Sap 7 to show exactly what this Anubis is capable of at this point in the game. I mean, was this sideways from picks and bans, Trelly? I mean, the draft looked standard through 4 picks for DDK. Admittedly, the Morgan threw me through a loop. I mean, is this at the feet of picks and bans, or do you think this draft has potential and they just got a bit outplayed? Where do you think things went wrong?
Oh my gosh.
Bop.
Yeah, pop like a balloon. I do think that picks and bans were okay. Again, the Morgan could just be a niche pick that Vivias wanted to go towards. Doesn't bring much to the table early on. You kind of have to go full cooldown rate to make it work, because if your ult's not constantly up, you're getting nothing done.
Oh my
Johnny,
God.
plenty of damage towards Drake. A wall would be necessary, and it looks like Drake just fine for the time being. But yeah, I don't think it's entirely on picks and bans. I think when Drake was sitting for ganks over in duo lane, Johnny was invading the whole jungle. You know, like there is definitely a farm difference going on here. And because of that, it's very hard to try and fight back, even if your composition was perfect. Like you're over 10k gold behind at this point. Your fight back, you can only win fights that are heavily stacked in your favor, which Smokebreak are not going to give you easily.
No, this is far too talented of a team, and a team, again, that has some competitive history with one another. That's where this early Smite 2 shot calling just seems a bit easier for squads like that. Fire Giant spawns, and as such, Smokebreak will wander their way on over. 3 Sunders, one of them now on cooldown. Silence is just going to play Separator here. He's high enough level that he can just hang out in these fights. Fire Giant's an afterthought for Smokebreak. There could be a collapse here. In goes Johnny, but use the Assassinate to counter out the stun. Well played by the Loki, and that's good for 5 in a row with the Smokebreak jungler. One of the most talented in the world, getting it done here in game 1.
I'm gonna split up the map, get as much farm as possible, and look to break open the base of DDK. They have plenty of time to do so. Benko just split pushing. We'll have to see if Diablo can make it out of here. Looks like Johnny may have given up on the chase. All right, or wants to try and find a lead back.
No, he's just min-maxing to the perfect. Oh no, Jimmy Diablo, they will make it out. That would have just been unfair.
Yeah,
Johnny
getting the wave before ganking you is so disrespectful.
Yeah, it's super disrespectful, but doesn't matter. I'm not sure who on the map can go counter out this Loki split push here that we're about to see. 3 members of Smokebreak with FG over in mid. Send Benko back over to solo lane. Drake may have an avenue here in behind Benko, but again, this has just got to be to clear out some farm. So a bit tentative on the full-on split push on left and right, but the mid-tier 2 tower crumbles. Trillian may just need a little bit more time, finish out a few more of those items. I mean, a full-on Phoenix siege maybe requires an odd-numbered team fight here, so DDK may be safe in their Phoenix line for the moment. I don't know. Goodness, stepping up here against Smokebreak seems like a terrifying thought.
And remember, Silence has a runic bomb, so like it's not as if Phoenix is out of the realm of possibilities, I should say, to try and go for. This is tier 2 for now. Take the last one off the map. Smokebreak will go back to the base. Maybe you play for like an Ancient Fury. Maybe you play for one more Fire Giant. It seems like even with a lead like this, Smokebreak is trying to make sure they don't overstay. They don't, you know, give a big shutdown, a crucial shutdown before an objective spawns in. Not a play that is incredibly necessary. The one that oh, he still hits that. That's disgusting, man.
Ooh, almost.
And he's
look cool.
I mean, it was sick. Didn't have the damage, but it was sick. And
99%er. Those 99% dope from Benko there. Unfortunately, the kill is what makes it a big highlight play. Doesn't really matter for Smokebreak though. They're just biding their time here. They'll step back and grab some of these objectives here in a moment. I do have a question, because I'm looking at Helm of Radiance here, Trey, and I think it's one of the really cool icons. I'll hold that thought, though, as Jimmy Diablo, way beneath his Phoenix line, melted by Sap 7. Sap 7 will also drop it. E-Chrome standing and delivering as DDK, as 3 try to step forward, but this Jingwei is fed. One more shot from E-Chrome gets it done. And it's a killing spree underneath the Phoenix. That's unreal from Smokebreak. Just shows you how far ahead they are. Johnny, unconcerned with Wengu. Just gonna solo the Phoenix? Won't get it. Unlucky. Oh, he does get it. The minions get it done. And the cavalry's arrived. E-Chrome and silenced. Finish off the kills. The right side Phoenix dead in the meantime. In what seems like a pretty mundane moment, DDK wiped from the map. Smokebreak, to our surprise, not really. Gonna walk in and take game 1 in just shy of 20 minutes.
My goodness, man. I was just talking about how they're gonna play it safe. They're not gonna go for any risky plays. Johnny ends up just full tanking. The Phoenix Sap 7 goes in for a 2v4 underneath the Phoenix. It's pulled back by open the gates. Turns out they weren't too worried. They were just, you know, they wanted to spend some gold, come back, and then go for the end call. And it works flawlessly. You asked me a bit ago about, you know, P's and B's. Again, I don't know if the picks and bans are going to stop that level of farm. But trying to limit what Johnny could do certainly could be a start. I don't know, man. That's a tough one to try and bounce back from mentally.
Remember, Johnny was playing Loki in Smite 1 when Loki, like, wasn't good, you know? Yeah. I mean, this is Johnny's pick. And so if you're looking at sort of this tier list of junglers, But the problem is teams in the past have tried to ban Johnny, and it's worked when Johnny was like the only guy on the team that was worth banning or picking around. I don't know, the Smoke Break team looking really good here in game one. DDK has some retooling to do. We'll see what they come up with right after the break.
Got a glass, fill it, cause I need it now. Monday is a in it. I don't wanna think about it. So if you know the song, sing it, cause I need it now. Take me to a place where the music's loud. I don't wanna think right now. Flashing lights running through the crowd. I don't ever wanna stop. So let's get out. Let's get out. I got money in my pocket and I'm about to fucking
Game 1 happened, I think, to DDK more than it actually happened. Seems like smoke break on easy mode here, Trilly, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it didn't seem like too stressful, business as usual type of deal. I think there was some good plays there from DDK. They had some, double knee ult plays over in the solo lane. They were able to catch out Silence a few times, but even when you're getting kills like that, it's more so about, farming the map, confirming your buffs, making sure your backs don't get invaded, things like that. And that was not something that DDK was able to mitigate in game number 1. It's
No.
possible you rotate someone over to meet Johnny in the jungle. I think there's ways to deal with this, but I don't know if it's something that can be corrected instantly like that.
No, I think we talked a lot about Johnny and how talented of a player he is, and SAP 7, E-Chrome silenced all of them. I mean, this is just such a consistent team, not only in SMITE 2, but what we've seen in SMITE 1. We'll look back at just how messy things got for DDK with the post-game stats. Look, smoke break, they got off to an early start. I mentioned that the worrying thought when playing against Johnny is that he gets off to a couple kills early in the game, and that those kills just start to compound. When it's 2, it's not terrible, but 2 minutes later it's 4, and then 6, and then 10, and then so yes, Johnny got a lot of killing done, and that is terrifying. But Trelly, there was also just out farming going on the map. I mean, in the jungle, duo lane, all of it just felt like smoke break were pretty consistently ahead, kills aside.
But here's what's frustrating me is that Fire Giant wasn't even looked at, so I couldn't even decide if the third Sunder made me happy or not. There was definitely one moment that we talked about where Johnny dove tower and then used his ult to get out and didn't go in for the kill immediately, where he definitely could have used the ult to go in, get the kill, and then blinked out. So like that was like one opportunity, I suppose. But I don't know, when you don't even go for like FG and it's not contested, then we don't get to see if the third Sunder even makes its way into your repertoire.
The question always is, how do you adapt? We'll find out in picks and bans for game number 2. Remember, these are all best of 3, so 2 of 2 here. I'm getting flashbanged in my room early in the morning here. I don't know what happened. The sun, I guess, decided to rise in the last minute or 2. I'll work on it after picks and bans. DDK versus Smoke Break, though. Trelly, DDK in that first pick slot. But we've talked about with Johnny, like, Loki is the pick, right? And Johnny loves that pick anyway, regardless of the meta, regardless of the game. It's a lot of investment, though, early in the draft. Do you ban it away? But then that leaves Susano open. Nope, DDK are going to stick with that Odin, still strong enough to not consider the pivot.
We'll see if Smoke Break decides to switch things up. The Fenrir could go unchecked here. I doubt it, but that would be the difference maker, right? Because Odin has already been taken away. And I don't know, man. It's like when you win a game so convincingly as you just did, maybe you switch bans up just to get some practice against gods like Fenrir to see if you can handle them, see if there's a a strat for dealing with them, or you just ban it away anyways. Those are really your only 2 options here for Smoke Break, and it looks like they will do just that. Will it be the Jingwei first pick? Will it be the Bacchus first pick? Or do you go for something different entirely? I think Jingwei would be the smartest call. Try and get Ikram off that Jingwei that he played so well. Definitely a smart look. And now Smoke Break has the opportunity to go, hey, we want to take Bacchus away. We want to grab Ymir. We want to grab Ama. A whole myriad of picks, but I think taking the Jingwei is a great start.
Yeah, it's sort of on me, I think. I mean, plenty of talk about Johnny, rightfully so. Ikram on Jingwei looked flawless. Think of some of that early pressure that was in that lane. Remember we talked about how Drake was just hanging out over in duo and nothing really came of it. So I think smart prioritization here from DDK. Leaves open the Bacchus, however, which typically have seen it in the solo lane, have seen it in support once or twice, but leaves open some of that flexibility. Where does Smoke Break prioritize the jungle pick? It won't be in the top 2, Trelly. It's not Bacchus or Ymir this time. It's Bacchus and Ymir for Smoke Break. 2 of the most sought-after tanks in the game, and both on the Smoke Break roster.
Yep, you go ahead and lock in your support and your solo immediately. That's going to be scary stuff. DDK have the opportunity to take away the Ama, even though, because we assume Deathwalker's taking the Benko's taking the Bacchus regardless, so don't really have to worry about that Amaterasu pick anymore.
I'll give you this last chance to run.
Susano as well, man. I think you're leaving open that Loki, and that's some scary stuff. Johnny can also go to the chalk. I've seen him do it plenty of times. That's not going to be a bad pick for him in the slightest, but I just think Loki is such a good time into Susano. I don't see why Smokebreak wouldn't just run back the majority of the draft.
Yeah.
What do you go for if you're E-Chrome, though, is the question. Like, Honor has been okay. CERN has usually been the topic of conversation. And now I'm puzzled. Because does that mean that Johnny's taking Ymir jungle? Or does that mean Johnny's taking Bologna jungle?
Or the old Anubis jungle. But that doesn't answer any question. Because then we got to know about mid.
Foot on my doorway, I'll destroy it.
Sorry, my dog
It's quite
has made
simple,
a
really.
surprise appearance. And you know the rules. When your dog shows up, you gotta give him a pet. I'm trying to... It's funny. I don't know if your pup is like terrified of being on camera or not. The moment I turn around...
I will show you more.
Nope, she runs away. Unlucky. It's the weirdest thing. When I'm at my desk and I like turn around and reach down, she runs away. But if I'm just petting her, she hangs out. It's the strangest thing. We'll catch back up with picks and bans, though. Hecate and Ares. Wow, so an Ares. First time I've casted an Ares this weekend, Trelly, and that'll complete the draft here for the Discipulos del Kaos. And Johnny gets the Loki anyway at the end of the draft. So break down what you're seeing here for me. First on the left side of your screen, DDK. What is this composition hoping to do?
I mean, DDK is pretty normal, right? Like that's a normal composition. I could break that down. I could break that down for easily. Like, that's not what I'm too concerned about. I like it. It's got CC. It's got late game damage. It's a fantastic composition. On this side, it's either Bologna or Loki ADC. You got to assume that it's Bologna because I think Bologna just destroys Jingwei. Like,
oh yeah, there's no ranged carry.
Exactly. So I'm thinking it's Bologna ADC, and you just give Johnny back the Loki. But does Johnny want to play Loki twice in a row? I guess is something to
yeah,
consider.
It just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like it, right? So that could be the switch up. You still have the swapping of Bacchus and Ymir, but I think Ymir is going to go into the support role unless Silence doesn't want to play Ymir twice in a row, in which case we might see a swap up there as well. After a game one like that, Dave, there are really endless possibilities here for Smoke.
Yeah, I guess it depends how much Johnny and Silence like value stomping their opponents. Like, is that fun enough to want to do it all over again, or do you need to do it on a different pick? I guess we'll find out. All I gotta say, you better win, right? If you're gonna throw some chaos at us, although the Disciples of Chaos are the ones I guess you would expect to spread the chaos. But if you're Smokebreak here, look, you outclass your opponent in game one. I'm all for trying something fun, but gotta get it done if you're gonna have some fun with them in game number two.
Those were bars. I don't know if you noticed, but you just had a couple
every
runs
once
there.
in a while I accidentally stumble into it. Definitely not on purpose. It's like the thing where your brain, it's like I'm speaking faster. My brain is trying to catch up, and it's just whatever words happen to come out. So that was not a prior thought. But look, we had a couple questions about the compositional style of DDK in game one, you know, the Morgan support. I think if you're rooting for them, you're at least happy to see, all right, let's get back to some standard Smite here. Did not go well with the Morgan support.
Yeah.
Let's see if standard Smite gets it done here in game two.
And I think that's the best call to go for, just because Smokebreak's going for some not standard stuff. Maybe you can try and shut that down, get to late game, upset, we go to game three. That's the idea here for DDK. Let's see if they can pull it off.
Game two, kicking off now between DDK and Smokebreak. It was a quick one in game one, and it will indeed be E-Chrome on the Bologna. I guess ADC, technically. Everyone else a bit expected. Johnny on the Loki again. That'll put Silenced, of course, then on the Ymir. Benko on Bacchus over in solo. Sap 7 right back on the Anubis. So you're running back a similar composition, Trelly, but don't have the Ama this time. You got the Bacchus instead. And let's not, I mean, look, Jingwei was a massive portion of the win there in game one. So E-Chrome being off that pick is a big difference, despite maybe Smokebreak having the potential for some of the same everywhere else on the map.
I want to see how E-Chrome even starts this game, just because you can see it's going to be what, Death's Toll, possibly like a Devo start, maybe a hi-rez, like that. How do you even build below an ADC in this kind of meta? But start to the blink. Still 3 Sunders on the side of Smoke Break. Johnny clearly making good use out of that relic. But, you know, only time will tell. You can see Benko definitely wants to go in for an invade here. Do you invade the blue or do you invade the red if you're Bacchus? That's the question. You can try and take it away from Wengu and try and just Sunder for Sunder, or just get the guaranteed buff over in blue. It looks like blue is going to be the call.
But Silence is going to be under a bit of pressure here. The counter invade on their own buff, and they get speed. A dream start for the Disciples of Chaos, and a dream start for Drake First Blood, and you get your speed buff. And Silence left out of lane. Seen plenty of invades, Trelly, but they're not all equal in outcome. That one was a rough look for Silenced.
I mean, that was beautiful. You just have Ares hide in the corner, act like you're not there, immediately go for the ambush. That's an easy first blood for Disciples of Chaos.
What
Oh my goodness.
What was that? What is that from Echrome? No way he 2v1s this early. No way. What does Silence have? He has freeze. What was that damage?
That was ridiculous.
What was that?
I mean, hey, purple buff, Bologna full damage.
I guess.
Diablo cannot match that presence. I can tell you that much. I'm excited to watch this now. I mean, this is my first Bologna ADC game, Dave. I got my eyes glued to the screen now.
Agreed. It's like half his health in one ability. All right, so Echrome can swing a bit. Ever hit level 2, I guess, a little bit faster since his support died in the jungle. So had that 1 level advantage, had the extra ability, but doesn't end up mattering. Ares.
What is this, man?
Over into solo. It's the year of the support map presence. We're trading spots. I'm going here, you're going there, and never the twain shall meet. Is that how the saying goes? I think it is. Either way, Benko bounces away. But we've seen a lot of this Trailer, just the teleporters, the ability to traverse the map so quickly. It's more important now than ever to not only be aware of your lane, but also as a support, be able to find opportunities across the map.
This is, I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world because Silence also isn't getting farm at the moment, but I don't know, man. Just hiding over in solo lane. Oh, okay, hold up. Now Drake is over there as well. Surely Benko doesn't get the kill. No, that's what it's all about, Dave. That's why you park in the grass for a solid 2 minutes.
All right.
2 on the board. Not a bad start, man. I mean, things are looking up. Maybe it was just the traditional comp they needed.
Right, it's just good old-fashioned Smite, and it's not a Morrigan, it's an Ares that's getting things started here for the Discipulos del Chaos. Still 1 level lead for Johnny, who's maintained a steady farm pace. It's that level 5 mark you got to watch out for on this Loki, because that's when Johnny finds the confidence and really just has more of an ability, more than anything else, to make these ganks happen. Silenced and Vives meet in the jungle, but nothing will come of it. Seems like Echrome, though, Trelly, has been able to maintain a pretty steady amount of pressure here over this Jingwei. I mean, early game Warrior up against an early game ADC, maybe no surprises. This speed buff, or the jungle buffs rather, have just not been friendly to Smoke Break this game. Johnny in and out of stealth, should die here, will, and it's gonna be Drake with another. Smoke Break have just been sideways this game, and Discipulos del Chaos have been on it. Speed buff early, now the red buff. It's all seemingly worked out. Is there anything to be said, though? It's a freeze onto the Ares, and a bit of damage out. And Smoke Break's first kill of the game goes to Silence.
See, but Dave, now I have definitive proof and evidence that Blink would have saved Johnny there, and Thunder didn't do anything because the buff, the buff, they didn't even get the buff, and he ended up dying.
Nice!
Beautiful Eagles rally, the slam!
Whoa, it's big! Big from Silenced, bigger from Echrome on the jump in. Could have been 2 kills, but just the 1. And a bait in from the Smoke Break support. Beckons DDK into their deaths. Just the 1, but still starting to match that pace a little bit. Smoke Break fall a bit behind.
Oh,
what is this? That's just damage on damage, CC on CC. Drake tried to answer back, but get body blocked by the minions, and Zap doesn't have much here either. Drake's just got to wait out those cooldowns. The wrap misses. One more tower shot would have gotten it done, but Drake playing a fantastic game of Smite here in game number 2, off to a killing spree in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, 3-0-1 on the Susano, and that's exactly, if you wanted anyone on your team to be 3-0 at this moment, it would be Drake. I mean, this pick can easily snowball the game if given the opportunity, and I don't want to see that aggression stop anytime soon. If I'm Drake, I am just traversing the map. I mean, E-Chrome showed how much damage this Bologna pick can do if given just a little bit of space. There's a nice Aegis pop by Kalipo, and definitely a necessary one to immune out the spinning bludgeon. That could have been that double kill you were talking about. But besides that, it's going to take a bit before Smokebrook wants to get aggressive like they've been doing, right? Like, oh, I lied. Silence already taking tower shots. He doesn't care. He does not care. He's going to continuously step forward. But, we haven't talked about this Ares no escape yet because, level 4 is the call. Level 5 has not yet been reached.
There's
but
no escape.
think about the lack of beads that everyone has at the moment. Silence is going to pick up that purification active immediately, but up until that point, you better be using your ultimate if you want to live.
Whoa, it happens again. E-Chrome. Oh, and the Eagles rally doesn't get the stun, but it's forced Jimmy Diablo back.
Coming back.
No escape, but can E-Chrome turn the damage? No, he can't. Immediate knock-up. And it's perfect play at the end from the DDK duo lane. E-Chrome has had those openings, not been able to strike Vader. A knock-up from Drake as well. Wengu dashes forward, and a sidestep from Johnny's enough. Quick footwork from the Smoke Break jungler keeps him alive and on the map. Got a feel for E-Chrome. There's been burst and damage potential a couple of times now, and it's just not been able to finish off a kill on a Jimmy Diablo.
I mean, I would feel if it was like intervention from the enemy squad, but he just missed. Like he could have landed the ult. That was a blink into an Eagles rally that unfortunately was off the mark there. And of course, once that ult's down, like I said, no escape, pull him right back. That's the negatives of going something like Blink. You gotta make it count. Once again, Silence goes for the invade. Once again, does not net. And Vive takes out Benko. The scrap actually starts back though.
Smoke Break getting a bit outpaced here, but a nice rotation in from Sap7. Not only keeps his support on the map, but actually gets a shutdown here, Trelly, and could be an important one. 3-0 for Drake. Unlucky. Oh, nice! Kaipo lives! Open the gates, through the gates, back behind the tower. Thinnest of margins. Needed every bit of that shell. And Kalipo lives underneath the tier 1.
I cannot believe that, man. It's like thinking Smite 1, a Janus portal. That's what that is. And they didn't just sit there and wait for him to come through. I guess they assumed that Kalipo would have fell down before the teleport.
Surely this one. No, okay.
Hey, E-Chrome doesn't quite have Eagles rally up just yet. Once it comes through, though, we could see the engage. It's available now. You see one more? No, because there's an Ares on the way.
Yeah, you're glad you have it still. You didn't use it a moment ago because Ares is rotated in. Up and over. There's the stun, but an immediate airstrike counters out, but Johnny's rotated in. That'll give the extra gas in the tank. Smoke Break able to grab a kill over in the duo lane. Drake and Kalipo in mid. Shove Sap7 back. Hey, look, regardless of the outcome of this game, Trelly, we're seeing some fight here from the DDK team. And after game 1, I think that's about all you could ask for. And it's still very much in the balance. They've got a razor-thin lead here, just depending on where the waves are on the map. But they're not getting absolutely crushed, but goodness gracious, Drake smashes his face against Silenced Wall. And now it's a killing spree going the other direction. Johnny's starting to stack up a couple.
Yeah, I mean, using the beats there and still dying is a bit unfortunate for Drake. It's just good freeze. Buy Silence at the right place at the right time. Queen has spawned in. Smoke Break should be able to pick her up for free. That's going to help with any sort of damage towards the structure. Or if you just want a helping hand to tank for you, all is well. Once you have that buff in pocket, could be meaning a Gold Fury pull anytime now, Dave. But something that I've noticed is Benko has been getting pretty out-farmed here over in solo lane, and because of that, we see the rotation. Wengu is able to teleport to left, is already behind E-Chrome. Can you force out the Eagles rally, or do you just go for Gold Fury?
Gold Fury. Gotta be simple here for Discipulos del Chaos. Indeed it is. Objective control there for DDK. Echrome, though, jumped on by the dazzling offensive. Can silenced play separator. No, Echrome, as a matter of fact, goes back in. You don't have any damage. You don't have any health. And Wengu follows him beneath the tier 1. What would be a solo lane matchup is actually a kill on the ADC. Kalipo with one on the sap. This is getting messy, Trelly, and that's sometimes when better teams get outclassed. When the game gets messy, you can see teams start to really have a hard time keeping up with the pace. This is gonna be 4 out of 5 kills. A near deicide. And Discipulos del Chaos with a magical last minute of game time.
I mean, after the objective, I can understand why Smokebreak thinks it's time to fight, right? They already used so much to try and burn through Gold Fury, but end up getting nothing. Johnny just says, hey guys, good luck. I'm going to split push. I'm going to get as much farm as possible on the right side of the map so I can try and carry this game. Because as of now, not too much going on for Smokebreak. It's not as if the gold lead is insurmountable by any stretch. They still were out farming before that Gold Fury. Smokebreak, that is. But you need to get some itemization online, and you gotta play a Christopher brand of Smite. There's the open the gates. Oh my goodness, the health pot was taken, but Zap 7. Gotta watch that positioning, man. On point is Kalipo, 2-0 and 3. Not a bad look.
Yep, open the gates looks great. This is definitely the time. Thank God Echrome finally gets one. We have seen that solo attempt from level 2 onward. And Echrome will even up that KDA at 2 and 2. So it's been awkward for Jimmy Diablo, and now there's going to be a bit of farm built up for Echrome over on the left side of the map. Shove that wave beneath the tier 1 tower. What's this power curve look like, though, to you, Trelly? I mean, we've seen Bologna, maybe in our ranked games and our casual games, try to build this ADC style of pick, but is there this concern of lack of range later in the game that Echrome is going to have to confront?
I mean, there is a bit of that. And I think that there's always going to be ways to get around it. You've got things like Ancient Fury. You've got things like the Queen Naga buff. You have, you know, Runic Bombs. So structure damage is low. Oh my goodness, just blown up. This wasn't even Echrome this time, dude. That was just Johnny and Silence walking by at the right time.
How many buffs?
Not where you want to be. Not where you want to be if you are Jimmy Diablo. Not even stack the Devos yet, Dave. It's going to be a minute before we see more fighting.
Well, Step 7 does basically no damage to Drake here. And Kalipo from over the wall is on a killing spree. This has been a dynamic duo here in Game 2. Drake and Kalipo have combined for quite a few kills here. 3 for Kalipo, a handful for Drake, plenty of assists for both. Chain onto Johnny will force the assassinate out. All this time, though. Split push happening over in the dual lane. That's knocked down a tower and shoved another wave back. You can tell Benko just content to sit back and farm up. His lane opponent, Wengu, is all over the map. These teams are ruthless. There's killing going on at the tier 2 towers in the jungle. If you die, you better be careful because somebody's sitting in the jungle to make it happen again. This is a messy game, Trelly, but one, Disciples of Chaos have a slight lead in.
You're right about that. You're never safe. That's definitely something I've noticed. Diablo, looking at the teleporter, runs into Echrome and immediately says, I didn't like that teleport anyways. Going back to base. Remember, the tier 1 tower is gone. Jimmy Diablo has nowhere to chill at, and that wave is obviously a trap. You're not going to walk up to the farm without getting the gank, and here it comes. Should at least force out the airstrike. And remember, Echrome has Blink as well to try and chase down. And there it is. And then now you just save the ult and wait. You kill with 3 here, though.
There you go. Yep, you may trade out your life. Pull back. I mean, both ADC's dead, but it's right when the Gold Fury spawns. Smokebreaker just not close to this. Second Fury of the game. For Discipulos del Chaos, that'll build up the lead to about 2,000. So 4 kills, couple thousand gold, far from game-ending style of lead here, Trilly, but Smokebreak want to keep our 2-0 streak going. They've got to clean up some of this gameplay. It's that unbridled aggression, right? When you just go in. You throw caution to the wind a bit. Sometimes it works. It's been about a 50-50 split here for both teams in Game 2.
Man, 1 in 4 for Sap 7. Now, this Anubis pickup has been not positioning that well. I mean, at one point, Sap died at his own back camps. Like that can't be a positioning diff. That's just, hey, we won Anubis dead.
Yeah.
But so far, it seems like Anubis has just been dead weight, right? Like not being able to get enough farm, down 2 levels. The Khalifa, who I'm assuming is sitting on a lot of gold, has had this Cosmic Horror Gem Focus build for quite some time. Probably has a full Soul Reaver, full Rod of the Hootie, something like that coming soon, just because of how much gold that Khalifa is sitting on. But where do we see the aggression? It kind of petered off for a bit. Where's the fight happening now? It seems like both junglers heading solo. This could be it.
Fight that could make a bit of a difference in the next few minutes of game time, but ends up meaning nothing, as there's a total disengage. And this is what we sometimes see. We take a deep breath. We've had 24 kills in 15 minutes. About as fast as it gets here in SMITE. And then you say, all right, now it's time to resettle ourselves. Let's farm up, get a couple of these important items online. I'm really worried about this mid lane gap for Smoke Break. I mean, Johnny is right up there. Benko's caught up in the soul lane a bit. Sap 7 has not been able to keep pace with Khalifa. Johnny dodging out just a bit of everything. Still has to use the Assassinate. Is that a Fire Giant pull? I mean, they started it. Smoke Break did, but they're going to get chased down by Discipulos. Still Kaos. Who in on the answer? It's a massive Eagles rally from E-Chrome. And the follow-up is perfect. Smoke Break have bought their time. And man, is it paying off. E-Chrome dodges out the last bit of damage. Ares in on the pull, and the pull is huge too. How about the turnaround from Discipulos del Kaos? The engage has been unreal from both of these teams. And when the dust settles, it's a 3v3 around the Fire Giant, 2 members alive aside.
I mean, that one was hard to follow, Dave. That all starts from a scrap over in solo lane.
I have no idea what just happened.
Yeah, it was hard to follow because Johnny ends up taking a decent hit of damage, holds out, has to run. Then we peel over. See that Smoke Break was attempting to sneak a Fire Giant with no ADC, with no traditional ADC, and just like Anubis damage. That doesn't end up working out, but E-Chrome hits a massive Eagles rally to help turn the fight. Khalifa gets a big ult just to force out Johnny's Assassinate. Regardless, you get to see Vivia's come in, and the Ares shows exactly why you need squad-wide purification. Silence is trolling that it took this long to pick it up. Benko has it, sure, but this is your Bacchus solo, man. You're not grouped up with the team all the time. That's just insane to me that it was Eye of Providence into Spirit Robe. I mean, there's a lot to pick apart about how Smoke Break has been playing this game. It's a night and day difference between game 1 and game 2. But not getting purification when your whole team doesn't have beads against Ares just seems like an oversight.
Well, after all that, we'll take another deep breath. Fire Giant still stands. Could have been a game-changing fight. Ends up just being more of the same, really. Gonna wait for a couple of the ultimates to come back. The relics needed back as well. We're just waiting on the beads. Pyromancer, though, picked up. And the Ares having that in the back pocket to help out with a future objective. Bit of a split push from Smoke Break, but it's gonna get collapsed upon here, maybe, by DDK. E-Chrome alone. I mean, gotta be aware this is going on, yeah, so you'll take the easier avenue out. Really awkward dance now as the Fury gets pulled. In behind Jimmy Diablo is Johnny. Ooh, goodness. That's a lot of damage. Forces out the ultimate. E-Chrome on the flank as well. Drake trying to play Separator. But E-Chrome is left alone. Your ADC on the front line. It's an awkward thought. Johnny chases Jimmy Diablo beneath the tier 2. Gets the kill, and now E-Chrome with the rest of the team. And they're on chase down, but Wengu still has something to say about this fight. And Drake does as well. The health bar's ripe for a multi-kill. Silence uses everything. And again, we'll have an even fight. Though Silenced a bit too slow. And the 1 kill will make the difference. DDK slightly ahead.
I mean, DDK is happy with that one. You get to get some farm after the fact, but where do you go? Is it Gold Fury? Probably should be the call. You don't have that much damage with Amaterasu to help you out. There's no one from Smoke Break that can step up in time, and the gold lead will continue to climb. This will be the 3rd Gold Fury that Disciples of Chaos are able to grab, Dave, off of over aggression from Smoke Break. They don't have the damage. They don't have the team presence to make calls like this. Finally, Silence picked up the squad beats, and now they've got 2. But still, Aries got a pull again in that fight. Like, these are easy to fix mistakes that are just not happening. But Smoke Break, if it's not Fire Giant, I don't think they're like really sweating just yet. If it's not Ancient Fury or Fire Giant, there are still ways to try and group up and stop the aggression of Disciples of Chaos. Already though, got some vision, like grouping up towards the right side of the map. Johnny is gonna show himself on the left soon. Might see a little bit the pull. What? No way to immune that Silence?
Whoa, silenced. Pulled back in. Did have his ultimate. Chose not to use it. Uses it on the escape. But a Fire Giant stands strong, awaiting an opponent. Johnny rotating in from the left side of the map.
Johnny is huge.
Yeah,
He's only level 20.
Yep. It's an opportunity to get back in behind. Discipulos no Chaos here. Benko baiting out the early portion of this fight. An airstrike used from Jimmy Diablo. What can Johnny get done? It's all on the jungler. First kill lands on a Drake. Jimmy Diablo under some pressure. Gonna be a double. Now Johnny starting to spin up. A third lands for Johnny. How about a quad out of the jungle? Why not? Maybe a penta. Doesn't get it to him. Unstoppable as Johnny and his team takes away the 5th. But this Loki has stamped his name on game 2.
There is no reason E-Chrome needed that kill, man. Give him the penta. Are you kidding me? Johnny's the only level 20 in the game. He's 12-2 while his whole team's negative. And you take that from him? Oh, I'd be punching air, man. There's no way.
This is Johnny we're talking about. He's not happy.
I cannot believe they did that. As if they even needed to confirm it. Like, there's no way that Johnny could chase that down. That is disrespectful. Smoke Break, pick up the Fire Giant. 12-2-3 for the Loki. Go get your split push, man. Go get your farm. I don't even care.
That evens up the game officially. Our gold is even. Fire Giant. Some unofficial gold for Smoke Break here. I mean, that was just... The fight was laid perfectly for Johnny. We followed him all the way over from left, around that fight. Ultimates used early, airstrike was off. I mean, I'm not sure Johnny could have written it much better himself. Now there's some serious concern about the super fed Loki that was big anyway, because Johnny was a farming menace. But what are we gonna do in this next fight? We gotta be cautious with her. I mean, it adds that seed of doubt. You don't know exactly where the Loki is.
Sure does. Ultimate for ultimate in the mid lane. Definitely a good look. Without the laser eyes, Anubis does not feel nearly as powerful. But yeah, there's not much, honestly. Like a fed Loki with 3 buffs around his waist. You don't want to run into that in the jungle if you're anyone on the side of Discipulos de Chaos. It's just not a good time. I think split push is the call for now. They can still group up and try and fight, but my goodness, I didn't even realize Jimmy Diablo is still level 16 and he's not gonna make it to 17. Does hold down and Johnny kills him in the air. He's divine, Dave. That is a 9 kill streak. And he already has 12 kills. Oh, sorry, 13 now.
Yeah, look. Always a chance, right? There's always a chance. This game has been a bit chaotic. It's been a bit messy. Smoke Break could overextend. You could lose E-Chrome in the jungle. No. Watch how fast Drake dies here. E-Chrome, Johnny, quick work, the opposing jungler. It feels like there's just been an exhale, doesn't it? Like just sort of this, here we go again, once Johnny destroys a team fight. It's this unspoken momentum now that Smoke Break is starting to work with. And an Ancient Fury will help out with the push on a Fire Giant buff as well. Doesn't help if Wengu's gonna get caught out in mid lane either. That tower, like the little laser, desperately wants to hit someone, but just can't. And another one for Smoke Break. Phoenix is under some pressure as well. Wengu's death timer is massively long. It could be a game-ending push here, Trelly, if you can grab another kill or 2.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Benko playing zone duty. Jimmy Diablo might get soloed out here, and he does. While the whole team watches, Dave.
What's the point?
There's just no help, man.
What's the point?
There's not enough peel in the world. Do you go for the last Phoenix? I don't think so. It seems like Smokebreak just going to walk in and end this one. Open the gates, a little bit off the mark. CC immunity used. Gotta be a Titan call. But again, you mentioned this earlier. No range damage. Echrome can't auto attack it. Maybe a pull in from Aries.
You want to pull them in? I'm not so sure. And here goes Echrome in on what could be the final fight of the game. Into the safety of the fountain, but also the safety of the end game screen. What a turnaround from Smokebreak in a quad. What should have been a penta for Johnny completes game 2 and gives Smokebreak the 2-0 win.
Only one other person on the team went positive, and that was Echrome. 13-2, man.
That was under some question for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
was having a tough time finishing off those kills.
The Eagles rallies weren't even that clean, man. Yeah. But hey, you know what? I'm just a little salty about the stolen penta. DDK though, definitely a comeback from game 1 to game 2. I think it's not easy to bounce back mentally when you just have like a 20,000 goal deficit to try and come back from.
Yeah.
They got very aggressive. They were making consistent calls. They got the first 3 Gold Furies of the game. So yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned with. This is not an easy team to try to go up against, and I think they bounce back. With that though, I mean, Johnny's still a menace. That has not changed either, unfortunately.
Yeah, not from Smite 1 to Smite 2. That's for sure. Johnny 13, 2, and 8. I was wondering if Kalipo was going to be in a position to really carry this game. 25,000 damage on the Hecate, top in the lobby, but just, I mean, when you got a fed Loki running around, don't know what you can do when it's Johnny. I don't want to harp too much on picks and bans, but you wonder, like, all right, we're gonna give him the Loki again. Feels like you're playing with fire every time you give this guy a chance. But there's so much to ban out, and only the one ban to do it with. I don't envy folks who are playing against Johnny or the Smokebreak team. Be fun to watch. They'll improve to that 1-0 portion of the bracket. And as you mentioned, Shelly, I tend to agree. You know, DDK, they'll drop down into the 0-1 portion of our Swiss bracket, and game 1, completely forgettable for them.
Right.
You know, not good at all. Game 2 was good for like 18
85%
right?
of it. Yeah, like
right?
pretty close. Pretty good.
So, and I really liked what I saw from Drake and Kalipo. So, if you're talking about building some storylines with these teams, you know, it's players who maybe we've seen a few of, haven't seen a lot of in the past. We're starting to build up our Smite 2 knowledge as casters. DDK. Yeah, a team to follow along with. So we're going to fill out this bracket officially upon the weekend's conclusion. But things to note here, those highlighted teams on your left are the ones in the 1-0 portion of the bracket. We will randomly seed that 1-0 portion once all the games have been played. So we're waiting on 3 more EMEA games to finish. And then once we get our 3 winners, we'll randomly seed to the top. And then we'll randomly seed to the 0-1 portion of the bracket. And that's why we can't place the teams yet, because we don't know who's playing who in that next round just yet. So 3 more matches to go, 3 more best of 3s. We're going to watch that Scorps versus Giovanni Giorgio match after a quick break here in a little bit. But Trelly, it's been all 2-0s here in EMEA. It seems like the favorites have been winning and the underdogs have been losing, and there hasn't been too much drama.
Yeah, I think there's been a bit of story that's not just like the end game. I've seen some close games that end up going 2-0. Yeah. So that bodes well for those squads once they go into their 0-1 section of the bracket later on. You know, they had closer matches than the bracket may have led you to believe. And that's why you got to do your homework. That's why you got to be watching all these matches. And I always highlight this at the end of a game, just in case you're wondering about those off-air matches or matches you missed, things like that. Tune in on Fridays to Smite Too Long Didn't Watch, where we will break down the things that you didn't see because there is a ton of Smite and you can't possibly watch it all. But we will do our best to recap it for you and just show you the matches you might have missed, the cool plays, things like that.
How long
and
is
also
that
remember, if you have someone that you love watching that is also a streamer, there's a good chance they're streaming their POV.
Yeah, probably.
So, plenty of ways to consume this content.
How long is Smite Too Long Didn't Watch? How long is that show?
Usually between 30 and 45 minutes.
Too long. Can I get a?
It's shorter than this, man.
Can I get a too long? No, I'm kidding. That's with the amount of SMITE 2 to break down.
Yep.
It's a very acceptable length. Look, we got a great one for you to end the EMEA portion of our day. Vaporish Coast's team, alongside Nika, Adapting, Dardes, and Cozy. That's Giovanni Giorgio going up against a team you're all familiar with, Kana, Aprio, Rapio, Preds, and Davey. Those two EMEA teams battle it out in a best of 3. We're going to kick that match off here in 30 minutes or so. So stick around. This is a good time to sit back, refresh, maybe catch up on some of the matchups you missed. Don't go anywhere. A big one here in EMEA coming up next.